The wilderness stretched endlessly before Grace Harper, a rugged expanse of treacherous terrain and indifferent beauty. She was a woman who had spent her life learning to endure. But nothing could have prepared her for this: a betrayal, a desperate trek for survival, and the haunting whisper of her own mortality. Grace had come to the Arctic with her partner, Lewis, to prospect for gold. The two had met in a bar years ago, their shared dreams of wealth sparking a bond that grew quickly. But that bond shattered like brittle ice when their supplies ran low, and Lewis decided there was only enough food for one. When Grace woke one morning to find Lewis gone, her heart sank. He had taken the sled, most of the provisions, and her trust. All that remained was a battered tin of beans, a tattered sleeping roll, and a rifle with 3 bullets. She stared at the wilderness before her. There was no turning back. The closest outpost lay 100 miles away, and she had no choice but to press forward. Grace trudged through the icy wasteland, her boots cracking the crust of the snow. The days were a battle against hunger, the gnawing cold, and the relentless wind. Nights brought the cruel bite of frost and the eerie howls of wolves that prowled the distance. By the 5th day, she had eaten the last of the beans. Every step was agony as her body screamed for sustenance. Her mind wandered, slipping into memories of warmth, summer days in the garden, the laughter of friends, and the aroma of her mother's cooking. On the 6th day, she saw him. Lewis. He was sprawled across the snow, his body still. For a moment, she felt a pang of sorrow. Then came the anger. "You left me," she whispered, her voice hoarse from thirst. She searched his pack and found a small amount of dried meat, a canteen of frozen water, and a map. It was more than she dared hope for, but guilt pricked at her as she took the supplies. She left the map, knowing she had committed it to memory during their journey together. Grace pushed on, but unease crept in as the days passed. She was not alone. A shadow flitted at the edge of her vision, a massive wolf, its silver coat gleaming against the snow. It followed her relentlessly, its yellow eyes sharp and calculating. One evening, as she huddled by a fire made from sparse twigs, the wolf emerged from the darkness, keeping a cautious distance. Grace gripped her rifle tightly, her fingers numb against the cold metal.
"I won't die here,"
she muttered. Her voice was more defiance than belief. The wolf simply watched, its gaze unwavering. By the 10th day, Grace's body was failing. She stumbled into a clearing where the landscape shifted, a frozen lake stretched before her, its surface fractured with veins of black ice. Across it lay Salvation, the outpost. A wisp of smoke curled into the sky, a promise of warmth and life. The wolf emerged again, closer this time. Its ribs jutted from its frame, its hunger mirroring her own. Grace raised the rifle. Her hands trembled.
"Go!"
she screamed. The wolf did not move. She fired a warning shot into the air, the crack echoing across the desolate expanse. The wolf flinched but stood its ground. She was no longer sure which of them was the predator. As she crossed the lake, the ice groaned beneath her. She knew the risk but pressed on, driven by sheer will. Halfway across, the ice gave a sickening crack, and she plunged into the freezing water. Her limbs went numb instantly, the cold cutting into her like knives. She clawed at the edges of the ice, her strength failing. The wolf appeared at the edge, its eyes locked with hers. For a moment, she thought it would attack. Instead, it lunged forward, grabbing the strap of her pack with its jaws. With a primal strength she did not expect, it pulled her free. Grace and the wolf reached the outpost together. She collapsed at the threshold, barely conscious, as the door opened and a man pulled her inside. When she awoke, warm and safe, she asked about the wolf.
Wolf? You were alone when we found you.
But Grace knew better. The wolf had saved her, not out of kindness but because they were bound by a shared will to survive. From that day forward, she carried a scar on her shoulder, a mark from the wolf's teeth. It was a reminder of their strange, silent partnership and the resolve that had carried her through the wilderness. She lived, but she was no longer the same. Survival had changed her, and the shadow of the Arctic would forever linger in her eyes. The lessons from Grace's story apply deeply to our own lives and struggles. 1. Resilience is built in struggles. Just like Grace, we all face challenges that seem insurmountable. Life's difficulties, whether personal, professional, or emotional, can feel isolating and overwhelming. But each step forward, no matter how small, builds resilience and proves we're stronger than we believe. In life, when you feel betrayed or unsupported, remember that every effort to move forward strengthens your character and determination. 2. Find strength in unlikely places. Grace found unexpected help in the wolf, showing that even in the darkest moments, aid can come from surprising sources. In life, stay open to help, advice, or opportunities that you might not initially recognize. Sometimes, what seems insignificant can make all the difference. 3. Keep focus on the goal. Grace's focus on the distant outpost gave her the will to continue. The vision of a better future can be the light that keeps you moving through the darkness. In life, when overwhelmed, set small, clear goals. The key is to keep moving forward, no matter how slow the progress. 4. Every scar tells a story. The scars Grace carried became a symbol of her survival and growth. They reminded her of what she overcame, not what she lost. In life, your struggles and setbacks shape who you are. Instead of resenting them, see them as evidence of your courage and growth. 5. Adapt to change. Grace had to adapt quickly to survive, from navigating the wilderness to accepting help from an unlikely ally. In life, change is inevitable, and resistance only makes it harder. Embrace new circumstances and find ways to thrive, even if the path isn't what you planned. 6. You're stronger than you think. Grace didn't know her limits until she was forced to test them. Her survival proved that our capacity for endurance is often greater than we imagine. In life, trust yourself. In moments of struggle, remind yourself that you've faced challenges before and have the strength to overcome what's ahead. Ultimately, the story teaches that life's trials are not meant to break us but to shape us into stronger, more resilient versions of ourselves. The key is to keep moving forward, even when the path is uncertain.